She had strings, but now she's free. There's no strings on Harley. Standing at 10 inches tall and produced using Kidrobot's legendary high-quality vinyl, this art figure comes in two colorways. This original red and black version that we're looking at right now, which is limited to 700 pieces worldwide, and a Kidrobot.com exclusive grayscale version, which is released to only 200 pieces worldwide. The art figure comes in two components when you get it out of box. The end of the mallet, which I'll show you how to put in place in a second. You'll see on the front, or on one side of the mallet, you have your face here. The other side has Ha. Some nice additional florets added to the top there, as well as the rivets that would, in theory, plug or attach this to the handle portion. So you're simply going to go ahead and grab the figure. You'll see right off the bat that it is a half circle, so it'll tell you right off the bat which way it has to go. You'll want to line it up like so, and very easily plug it into the end of the handle here. A little bit of extra pressure may be required to get that in place. And then you've got Harley Quinn ready to go. The Brandt Peters depiction of Harley Quinn here has her as a marionette, and a rather clever feat on her feet. There's a segue for you. Her feet are standing atop of the cross in which the strings will be hanging down and attaching to the Harley Quinn. These strings have been detached, so now Harley Quinn is free to roam around. But you'll see this is a really clever way of making use of this as a display stand. Underneath you got Brandt Peters and Kidrobot, and underneath that circusposterius.com. You can head over there as well and check out some additional artwork and designs. Really spectacular looking display base though. Really does convey the sense that this is wood. There are little cracks and creases, little line indentations there running through the actual wood here, and this is not wood, obviously it's a vinyl plastic. Also have a couple of bolts running through. Now these two don't run through. The ones on the back, however, are running through, and they've got the part remains of the string left behind. There is a very small little peg on the back just to compensate for the fact that obviously it would have to sit completely flat on a surface. I did find, however, it to be tricky that when I was looking at the statue here in the opener of this review, the turntable I did have some problems where it did shake a little bit, just kind of moved a little bit, just because that peg is very, very small. And then again, that's the only thing that's really preventing it from leaning back. The mallet does add a little bit of extra back heaviness, so you could probably even see too, if you tilt it, just tip it a little bit back and forth. Doesn't feel like 100% footing, but again, you're probably not going to be doing this a whole lot with the statue itself. Having a look at the details on this. Now this is the traditional Harley Quinn colors. Would love to get my hands also on the black and white version, which is a much more limited release at 200 copies. But here we though have Harley Quinn here as a marionette. And actually it's a very fitting character, I think, for a marionette, as it almost seems like she's a character anyways that the Joker is always dangling and holding by strings until she finally just cuts the strings and she's had her fill with Mr. J. So let's have a look at some details here, and then of course we'll look at really starting from the top. We'll work our way down here. An exquisite looking head sculpt. Not sure if hopefully the camera's picking this up or not, but there's a slight greenish tint to the otherwise white complexion here of her face. Love, one of the, especially the things I love so much about this, the head sculpt at least, is that she has the eyelashes that are sticking out far beyond the scope of her mask and peeking out the sides here. The eyes and otherwise the face really has a very cartoon, very marionette sort of appearance to it. But again, I think I do like the fact that the skin tone is slightly off, as opposed to being a very stark white on the collar, of course, the cuffs, as well as the pom-poms on the sides of her hair here. I did notice, though, that I've got one little scratch, one right there on the plastic. As much as I try to want to wish it away, it's not going to go anywhere, but other than that, paint is really otherwise very clean, very well applied, and have any issues with it whatsoever. As we've already looked at the mallet, it's not much more needed to be addressed to it, other than the fact that it's got a great sculpt to it. Much like the base, it has a wood grain that's been sculpted into it. It's got some few ropes on the sides in which it would have been wrapped around the marionette's hammer mallet head here. Part of me wishes that this would have been painted in as well. I mean, the indication there of the rope is present, but unfortunately there's no paint to kind of fill that in. Now, if you think of it from the standpoint, and this is something that I have to keep in mind as well, this being a marionette, this would be a toy. Roping like that would lean itself closer to being a more realistic mallet. So I may actually backpedal my opinion a bit. And I'm fine with the fact that the ropes aren't painted in, because again, this is supposed to be a toy. It's not supposed to necessarily be a real depiction of Harley Quinn. And further adding on to that is when you start looking at the joint systems, like all the little joints that they've added to the elbows, the waist area here, around the thigh specifically, you can see that there is a considerable gap, an intentional gap there, because this is supposed to be, these are supposed to be free moving legs. The ropes, the strings on the sides here really would have controlled her motion, right down to the fact that looking at these, reviewing figures as long as I have, part of me wants to bend this thinking that it's an actual joint. So it's a testament to the sculpting that Kidrobot would have put into this piece, and that leads itself all the way down to her feet. One foot is firmly planted, while as you can see, the other one has a slight gap, indicating the sense of movement here. Of course, no marionette could be complete without at least some indication that the strings were there. At the very least, they've been cut, but I like that they've at least put them attached still to the portion of the leg. You see that there's like a little bolt, little notch sticking out from the leg that the rope has been attached to. The rope is also made of a plastic material. We spin that around. Also the same thing can be said on this side. Tying its way around, it looks like it's also been tied off in a knot. And she does have ropes on both sides, strings to be exact, on both sides of her sleeves here. And while we've spent sufficient time looking at the Harley Quinn, we really have not looked at the actual handle of the mallet. Yes, we looked at the head, but the handle itself also has some nice sculpting on the lower portion. You can see that she's gripping that in the one hand here while it's draping its way across the shoulder. There is a little connector point, and I just moved it just so you can see it here. There's a little peg that attaches to her neck just to give some additional stability to the mallet itself. So you can just plug that in place. And again, it kind of keeps a lot of things stable here on the statue. Really, for how happy I am with this statue, I would really love to see in hand what the black and white looks like. Essentially, you'd be extracting all the colors head to toe and also in the base itself and giving us a completely grayscale treatment. I think that could work exceptionally well for this particular statue here. The Brandt Peters Kidrobot Harley Quinn marionette art figure should now be available in select stores and comic book stores. If you do have a tough time picking her up, though, my best suggestion I could make to you is head over to www.kidrobot.com. Not only can you see upcoming releases from the company, but you can also head over to their store and order these directly from them. I've ordered things from them in the past, and their shipping time is extremely fast. So as quickly as you order Harley Quinn, you probably will find her coming immediately to your door. You would hope, though, that a post person has delivered her. If not, I would be questioning whether there is some life actually inside that marionette body. I really love this piece. Again, taking elements from classic Harley Quinn, because I know Harley Quinn has had so many design elements, different changes over the years, but I'm the purist, I think, when it comes to Harley Quinn. I really like the more classic jester style that Harley Quinn has been in the past, and it's nice to see that presented in a different way. The marionette is a nice icing on the cake for a character I've already loved so much over the years that I've really truly loved this piece, and I'd love to get my hands on the black and white if I can find it. Again, that's going to be of limited quantities. It's going to be sitting at around 200 copies worldwide, so she's going to be a little harder to come by. At the very least, if you're looking to get the more traditional colors here, the full colorway version, she is of at least of a higher quantity. So if you're interested in picking this one up for yourself, again, you can head over to www.kidrobot.com. Today we were having a look at the Kidrobot Brandt Peters Harley Quinn marionette art figure. If you guys wanted to go back and have a look at some of the other Kidrobot pieces that I've done on this channel, it's as simple as heading over to my Kidrobot playlist. You'll see everything that I've done in there so far. You'll also find future videos in there as well. Make sure you hit also that little subscribe button down below. That will guarantee you that when new videos are coming to this channel, you'll never miss out. And as for new videos, there's always going to be new videos coming to this channel, so keep your eyes peeled. Ooh, that's such a gross saying. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.